Hello, everybody. Welcome into another edition of Indiana Sports Speed Radio. Appreciate you joining us here on this Wednesday. Brought to you by our good friends at Endeavor Hospitality of Bloomington, the fine folks of Southern Stone Restaurant, Feast Market and Cellar, Capello, the courtroom at Bedford, BB's Marketplace, and many more on the way. Man, I was out at, speaking of which, I was at Southern Stone last night. They had a tasting. And they're actually having one again tonight, which that's unusual that they're going to have two in a row like that. But I'll be back out there. I can't wait. Oh my gosh! And because I am a member of my Wow Club, it only cost me $25. It's an entire meal and a tasting. It's crazy. That's why I'm telling you, get your Wow Club card, folks. Make sure you go there and get that taken care of. And I'm telling you, you're going to be happy that you did. Hello, welcome aboard. Keegan Nickerson with me from thehoosier.com, sitting in for John this week. Also on the program today, great day, actually. We've got Kyle Neddenrip, Bob Kravitz, and Rick Bozich. Holy cow. That's a lineup, folks. That's the lineup. I saw that Purdue fans, well, I'd say that they're in mourning, but they probably don't know who Lee Rose is. He took Purdue to their last Final Four. So most Purdue fans probably don't know who he is. That was in 1980. But Lee Rose passes away. He guided Purdue to its last Final Four appearance 42 years ago. The Charlotte Observer reported Rose's death after a spokesman from the Charlotte 49ers athletic department confirmed the news. I did not know he was with them. Rose spent 2 seasons with the Boilermakers as the head coach. Only 2 seasons. How ironic is that? He was their head coach for 2 years and took them to one of only 2 Final Fours ever. Kind of crazy, isn't it? But sad to see that as he has passed away. So just wanted to get that going. Looking forward. There's plenty to talk about, as always. What's up with you, Keegan Nickerson?
Nothing much. Really looking forward to baseball starting tomorrow. Reds night game at Atlanta. So starting the season at an away stadium is going to be weird because I can't remember the last time the Reds opened the season not at Great American Ballpark, but I'm excited for that.
Why is that happening? Because the Cincinnati Reds, once upon a time, used to signal the start of the Major League Baseball season. They officially had the opening game forever. Yeah. Then they played on the opening day, but it was no longer the opening game. And now they're not even playing at home? What the hell? What the hell?
It's because of the collective bargaining agreement.
Collective bargaining crap.
Well, they had to cancel the first 2 series of the season, so they canceled the home series that the Reds would have had. Now they have to make it up through doubleheaders throughout the season.
Man, how pathetic. How pathetic. I saw the Indy Star yesterday. From free meals to bank commercials, nearly 100 IU athletes have NIL deals.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a bad thing. Nearly 100 IU athletes have availed themselves of rules allowing them to profit from the use of their likeness since those rules became allowable under NCAA bylaws last summer. This is from the Indy Star again. According to totals shared last month with the Indy Star by IU Athletics, 92 athletes have reported a total of 173 name, image, and likeness compensation arrangements, including 104 deals struck for monetary compensation. Of Indiana's 24 sports, 17 have at least one athlete with a reported deal. So how many deals with that? They're not all about money. Some of it's just food. I lost the number anyway. Oh, but That's good. It's good to see that the other athletes are getting something.
Yeah, and only half of those deals are Simple Truth. If you've seen all that stuff from the basketball team, I think it's hilarious.
Please expound upon that.
Well, it's like every member of the basketball team has a Simple Truth NIL deal, and even Gabe Cups has started to get some too. And they just make a lot of funny videos, and they don't take it too seriously. And Anthony Leo made one yesterday where he took every snack that he had from Simple Truth and put it in a smoothie with like sparkling water.
That's
And
pretty
it
funny.
was funny. He put like nuts and beef jerky and dried fruit in a smoothie. It was pretty good.
No, Simple Truth. Isn't that a national brand?
It's a Kroger brand. So it's
It
Kroger's
is a
like
Kroger brand.
healthy
Okay.
snack brand kind of thing. But not really sure.
Yeah,
But
get
it's
it.
a good
So
way for small companies to kind of get their name out there. Because I know Miles Jackson's done a lot of stuff, and it's like companies that I've never heard of, like electronic signatures and gear that he's used before that people are trying to auction off. So it's interesting.
it is definitely interesting, but it's good to see that it's being spread around. And I talked yesterday about the Adidas is going to try to help spread that around as well. So, um, and then you're going to have the guys that really cash in.
Yeah. And the
Guys like
OHSAA yesterday, they actually announced that high school athletes are going to be able to basically do the same thing as long as they don't use the logo of the school that they play for. So we could eventually see high school athletes do it, and then how that's going to impact Indiana basketball specifically with how much pull that has. You could see a lot of these high school kids raking in some serious money.
Well, one of the areas of oh my gosh, Brian Walsh that he has done well with is Ohio, but Indiana itself historically has done well with Ohio. I mean, historically, Indiana just recruited right here, but that has changed as the game has become a national game, and Indiana, the recruiting is becoming more national now, with a mixture inside of that. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what the IHSA, Indiana High School Athletic Association, does, especially being in the same state as the NCAA, where they're located. It will be ironic to see if changes are made there, if and when that were to happen. Really, we're waiting on national legislation.
Yeah.
Because right now, every state is different. And it just cannot be that way, because you can't have a Texas Tech or Texas or SMU able to do X when other schools are not able to do Y. I mean, you can't have it that way. So there's going to have to be some straightening out about it. But I don't, as of right now, I don't know how much. As of right now, how much has it changed? Who's going where?
I mean, you talked about the Texas offensive line thing, getting, what is it, 50,000? Yeah. But I think it's obviously going to change where people go. I don't think anyone's going to come out and say it directly. Like, I chose this school because I can make more money there. But I mean, you've seen it with Lane Kiffin's press conferences at Ole Miss. He's been very open about it and candid. He said, look, people have been recruiting guys using money and getting guys to their schools because of the money that they can get there for years. Now with NIL, it's just legal. So, I mean, it's been happening for a while.
He's not saying anything that anybody hasn't known forever.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's just, yeah.
it's not the SEC schools are not the only ones. They've just led the way. They're just the best at it, and they almost don't even hide it as they bring in wheelbarrows full of cash and drop them. But it's funny hearing him complain about it. He's right in the epicenter of where it's been going on forever.
Yeah.
So
I know
what is he complaining about?
He's not complaining about it. He's just being forthright because, I mean, if anyone in that conference has money, it's going to be LSU, Alabama, and Ole Miss. So Ole Miss has plenty of money to spare, and he's not complaining. I think he's maybe calling out Jimbo Fisher, because I think Jimbo Fisher was doing a decent amount of complaining, and Lane Kiffin saying, I mean, you've got all that money. Everyone has money. We've been doing it. So it's not really like you can complain.
Texas A&M, let's just say, has led the way.
Yeah.
Apparently with NIL, and I don't even know what all they got going on. Do you know some of the stories?
No, I don't know any specific stories. I just know that those schools have infinite amounts of money. I mean, with how much Jimbo Fisher's contract is worth, it's crazy. And
Kenneth wants to make sure that you got that ceiling fan secure. Going 100 miles an hour. Hitting up the Andy Moore Honda hotline this morning. Hope everybody's forced on there. Saying hello from Michael. Ross says he did not realize that Lee Rose was from Irvine, Kentucky, till reading Rick's article. Rick will be with us later. Dwayne down in Evansville. Kenneth? Let's see.
Jimbo Fisher's doing $7.5 million a year.
Oh, I know what he's making. Yeah, I could have told you that.
I think his buyout might be close to $100 million if he's fired before the extension is like in place.
Yeah, when they signed his deal, it was it was like a $750 million 10-year. Wasn't it a 10-year deal?
It's not $750 million, $75 million.
That's what I meant to say. But that was, I remember that was announced. It was like a 10-year, $7.5 million deal.
Yeah. And it was also weird because he wasn't having that much success at Florida State after they won that national championship with Jameis Winston. They had kind of slid back a little bit, and then he just got bought by Texas A&M.
I think he was getting overspent.
Yeah.
Florida State was not putting money into facilities, much less players at that time.
Yeah.
Seriously. I mean, he knows what's going on. It was the truth. When you're right in the middle of the SEC and on all that country, you know what's happening. And it's the truth. But it's also why I think that like the Hoosiers for Good, that the NIL consortium is going to be great for Indiana basketball and cool for some of the other sports. Indiana football is just, I think that I don't see Indiana football competing in the NIL age.
Well, you've got to win, and you've got to get some big recruits, which they have some. I mean,
they had that opportunity. They had the world in the palm of their hand last year. They had an opportunity that will never come around again.
Yeah.
Well, I shouldn't say never, but
I mean, look at Deshaun McCullough. That could have influenced his decision to stay and not follow his dad to Notre Dame.
So far.
Yeah. So you need more recruits like him, and you've just flat out got to win. But it's going to be something. But they are definitely far behind some other sports.
Sean saying Michael Lewis is killing social media up there and around the Muncie area. He is winning the press conference, and I expect it translates on the floor. Motivator. Oh, I can promise you that, baby. Yeah. Michael Lewis. Are you kidding me? The guy that yelled back at Bob Knight?
That
Motivator?
Awesome.
You think? Yeah. You think? Man, what can you imagine him in a huddle? Pissed off? I love Michael. He's great. So happy for him. Looking forward to having him on, as a matter of fact, next Monday. How about them apples?
When we were in Portland, we got to watch that UCLA game against who was it again? St. Mary's. And I saw him going after some refs during timeouts. So he was just as involved with that as Mick Cronin was. So he's looking good.
Yep. So congratulations to Mike, the new head coach at Ball State. You've got Thad Matta, the new head coach at Butler. So lots going on. I think we're getting close to break time, huh?
Yes, it's break time.
Let's do it. We got the Magic Man, Bob Kravitz from The Athletic, coming up next here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by our good friends from the WOW Club. Make sure you go into your app store and join the WOW Club. I did it. I've done it myself. It's much to your benefit, but it helps us as well. Appreciate you. Back with more right after this.
Morning, Mr. Kravitz.
Good morning. How are you?
Good.
How's Bob feeling?
I feel much better, actually. I kind of wish that I had worked this week because I feel okay. But yeah, so surgery's in a week and a half, so we'll be good to go after that.
A week and a half.
Yeah, April 18th is the surgery, and should rectify all my issues, and I'll be good to go. It's like an oil change. I'll be good to go for another couple thousand miles.
Rectify. No pun intended.
Oh, geez. Yeah, you're right.
Oh, God.
Holy cannoli.
Which way am I going? This way. There we go.
Hey, straighten up.
He committed to Ohio State.
Who did?
Tanner Holden, the Wright State transfer, supposedly on Indiana's radar, if you want to quotation mark that, but he committed to Ohio State.
Football, I'm assuming you're talking about.
No, basketball.
Who?
Tanner Holden was at Wright State and hit the portal and then chose Ohio State.
This is weird. You guys are frozen in the picture. I kind of like you that way, but
You had that thing happen last week.
yeah, I mean, I'm perfectly alive, but I'm moving. But you guys are frozen.
I look better that way.
Yeah, is Keegan still with us?
I'm here.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. I just saw your still photo there. I wasn't sure if you were still here. Nice to see you.
Oh, we got Tiger in the Masters, baby.
I know what I'm doing on Thursday.
He's about even to make the cut.
That's what I saw. It's, I'm telling you, I've been to the Masters about, 5-6 times, and walking that course is really a challenge. It's a lot hillier than you think it is. The undulations, it's a hard walk. I mean, I've done it a couple of times, and I was exhausted after. Of course, I'm in shit shape, but that's another story.
We're back in 10.
Okay.
4, 3.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you here on this Wednesday. Welcome aboard. Bob Kravitz joins us from The Athletic now. Robert, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you, buddy?
Cannot complain. Looking outside at that, looks like a January day here in this, although we're in April. It looks pretty January-ish outside.
Yeah, it's not looking good for golf, is it?
No, not that it was looking good for that for me anyway, but no, not
me neither.
Another week, at least for that's going to happen, I'd say, for most folks. But absolutely, but plenty of other things going on right now, as we were talking about. The Masters is here. Tiger Woods Looks like he's going to be playing, which, I mean, what are the freaking TV ratings going to be for a third?
Oh,
This has to be the biggest Thursday TV ratings ever for golf.
well, I know that I will add to the TV ratings because I will be sitting on my couch watching. It's interesting. Last night I was reading some stuff, and this story is very reminiscent of Ben Hogan. You know, Ben Hogan was a champion golfer for years and years and years. Got involved in a terrible crash, damn near died, and came back and won many more majors after that. So it's almost eerie the way history is repeating. Now, will Tiger be able to be dominant again? I don't know, but tell you what, man, I wouldn't put it past that guy.
No, and he says he thinks he can win. Of course, what's he expect to say? He says it's hitting the ball is not the problem because I'm striking the ball just fine. He said it's walking the course, and
Yes.
for people that don't realize, in PGA golf, there are no carts, baby. It's walking, and that doesn't sound like big deal. You're walking. Well, when you're doing that over the course of the hills, and the mental, you add the mental strain to this, because when you're not that good as good as those guys are, you don't know the mental strain. You don't understand the mental pressure that they put themselves under, and you add that to the walking, and it is not fun.
No, and look, I was telling you during the break, I've been there probably 5, 6 times. I've been lucky enough to cover the Masters, and people don't realize on TV just how hilly that place is. I mean, the undulations, the way. I mean, it's just hilly. I'm looking for a fancy way of saying hilly, but it is really challenging just to walk it as a 35-year-old, 40-year-old reporter, and to think that he's going to do it with the injuries that he sustained is really remarkable. And I agree with Tiger when he says that's going to be the biggest challenge because, yeah, standing there and hitting a golf ball isn't, and that's what he's done since he's a year old. But walking is going to be a big challenge for sure.
Yeah, what was that guy's name several years ago now that tried? He was good enough to play, but he had a condition, and they actually gave him a pass to use the cart, but he didn't last long.
Well, I can promise you that at a place like the Masters, which is so tradition bound, where you can't even call them fans, you got to call them patrons, and they take away your cell phone when you go on the course. There is no way in living hell that they're going to allow Tiger Woods to besmirch their beautiful golf tournament and their beautiful. I mean, everything about it is just pristine. Ain't no way he's taking a cart. I can promise you that.
Yeah, no. Bob Bowlesby, who's your pick to win? You got to pick. I mean, it's just a guess. When it comes to stuff like this, it's just a freaking guess. You could put, I don't know, 15 names in a hat probably.
How about Schauffele?
He's got as good a shot of anybody.
Yeah, I looked at a list of guys yesterday because I figured we might be talking about it, and his name jumped out at me for some reason. I don't have a good rationale to explain why I think it. When I just saw the name and said, guy named Xander, why not?
Today is the par 3, the Masters par 3 challenge that they have down there, which is just kind of a fun day for those guys.
Yes, that's always enjoyable, and I assume Tiger is playing in that. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's always cool going. Like when I used to go to the Masters, I go early if possible and try to get out for the practice round or the par 3, and you get a lot more access with the players. You learn what they're looking at in terms of the course design and all the little things that they're going to have to deal with come Thursday through Sunday, hopefully Sunday. So yeah, that's a fun thing to cover, is being there early and following those guys around the course.
The Masters is, I guess, quite possibly the most unique major of any sport, because it's kind of to itself. It is not completely self-regulated because it's a PGA event, but they do their own thing. You talk about, you got to call them patrons. Normally, the caddies can wear shorts, whatever. They've got to wear the white jumpsuits here. It's kind of like Wimbledon.
Wimbledon,
Very
yeah.
Wimbledon. They're very Wimbledon-esque.
Absolutely. Like I said, they'll take away your cell phone, or you just can't bring it on the course. You can't run. There's no running. There's no running at the Masters. You must walk. It's
Do they
really,
have a mom that has that job? Stop running!
slow down, you kids. No, I don't know, because I've never run on the course, so I've never had anybody yell at me. But and running is not something that I like to do on a regular basis. But it's a relic of the 1950s. The cool thing is the prices are still a relic of the 1950s.
That's very unusual.
You're like, you can get a pimento cheese sandwich for like $1.50. It's crazy. It's just crazy.
Well, I gotta be honest with you. That's about all I'd pay for a pimento cheese sandwich.
Yeah, they're highly overrated.
Force with a great little point. How
Yeah.
about this little stat? No one that's won the par 3 has ever won the tournament in that same season, same year.
Huh. Yeah, well, that makes sense. It's two different sports. You're hitting 150 yard shots versus trying to, make your way around the regular course. Yeah, I can see where there would be like no causation there. There'd be no relationship between the two.
Bob Bowlesby stepping away from the Big 12 after basically leading them through tumultuous time. They lose Texas and Oklahoma, but they're adding other teams along the way. But this is kind of a big time for the Big 12 as you go forward, I guess. I haven't read I'm in the Athletics article, but have they named a successor yet?
I'm not aware. I'm not. I don't follow the Big 12 all that closely until I absolutely have to. So, I'm not aware that they have, but that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But the Big 12 has been, for a conference that's been through what they've been through, already lost some teams, and it's that they've kind of hung on there, and yet have had the best basketball conference the last year or two, maybe.
They have. I mean, Kansas being a number one example. No, you're absolutely right. No, the Big 12 is really solid. Now they're adding 4 more teams. Obviously, they lost a couple, but it'll be interesting to see how they move forward.
Absolutely. Let's see. You're writing. So I'm trying to make sure I didn't miss anything of yours. Do you have anything up? Your last article you wrote on?
No, I have not written since the NCAA tournament in Purdue. I think I wrote the first 2 games, and I've been, as I mentioned, I've been on medical leave the last couple of weeks. I'll be on medical leave until May 2nd, so I'm pretty useless.
Well, I would not say that exactly. Hardly from the group. A group of alumni and local business leaders are in the beginning phases of creating the NIL collective that would benefit Arizona State. They're trying to get these schools are trying to get along because we've seen Indiana do this already as the Hoosiers for Good. I think it was 2 weeks ago now. I had their CEO on here, the CEO from Cook, actually. But this is if a school does not have this, they're screwed.
You're screwed. You're screwed. I mean,
are screwed.
It's gonna be the wild, wild west, and the money is gonna be out of control. And eventually, I think the dollars are going to diminish, because I think a lot of these companies are going to find out that paying the point guard for Indiana University or whoever it might be probably isn't worth their while. But I think short term, and look, you look at was it Texas A&M and in football, and part of the reason they get all the top recruits is they've got the best NIL situation of anybody, and these kids come into school and they're making a crap ton of money. I almost said it, and that's just the way of the world now, man. I have no problem with the kids making money. It's just, you know, you want it to be, you don't want it to be. It's not supposed to be school initiated. It's supposed to be outside. But it's going to be the wild, wild west out there now. With 1,000 kids in the portal. It's just going to be insane. But you know what? The NCAA made its own bed, so tough luck.
Yep. I mean, it kind of already is. It's there. That's where they are now. I mean, when you have a school, Indiana, for example, and they're going out to make their pitch, part of their pitch is their NIL package.
Absolutely. I mean, look,
that's part of the pitch.
If you're Trace Jackson Davis, look, I think he's going to bolt, but if you're him and you don't think you're going to get to where you want to be in the draft, which right now he's probably not, maybe a big NIL package induces him to stay. So it just changes the whole dynamic of college sports.
Well, and that's what I'm thinking that is going to happen, that he will be I think he's going to stay for that very reason.
Okay. All right.
I absolutely do for that reason. But we'll see. Who knows? But I think that there's no reason to not make the announcement by now. But of course, I guess plenty of guys haven't.
Right.
We talked about this yesterday. There could always be some gamesmanship on part of the coach's side, asking them, "Hey, let's keep this under wraps for right now. We don't want people to know what we're chasing or who we're chasing, who we're trying to land."
Yeah, that's
I'm sure
entirely
that goes
possible. Yeah, I mean, isn't there a date by which they have to announce for the NBA?
Well, there is for the draft, and then there is one later for the portal, but that doesn't come till later on in the summer, I think.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the date is, but yeah,
the draft has got to be by, I would think, I forget
soon.
what it is.
It's got to be relatively soon because the draft is this summer. So,
yeah, but it may be. Is it into May? Because the draft it's not till June or July.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I saw a couple of guys announce. I was like, "Where's Trace?" So maybe we're just missing it completely. Maybe he's committed to stay, but I haven't heard one way or the other. I'm guessing you haven't either.
Nope. Well, I'm telling you, I believe that the Hoosiers for Good is going to put enough money in front of him, along with the fact that he's a stretch to be drafted. I think that I think he sticks around. You've got talent coming in, and he's looking at it like, you know what? What's the difference between going someplace and either having to go to Europe, having to go to a G League team, because I'm not going to an NBA team. Maybe it's not his thinking right now. Maybe it should be his thinking right now, because that's probably closer to the facts. Thank you, Philip. The NBA draft, where did it go? The NBA draft is April 24th. Are you kidding me? Holy smokes.
That's the deadline to declare.
It's the deadline to declare. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
But that is coming up. That's a couple weeks away.
Hey, he might be able to make more money staying at IU than he would if he went pro. Here's my only
I'm telling you, I believe that.
If he gets hurt, it's a whole different ball of wax. I mean, he gets, God forbid, he suffers a major injury. that's going to affect his long-term ability to earn money. So I don't know. I mean, if that was my kid, I'd probably tell him to go pro. But at the same time, he's not from a family of great need, which is very fortunate for him. And he may just decide, as I mentioned a couple of shows ago, who would want to spend as much time as possible in Bloomington, Indiana? I mean, I wish I'd screwed up more and was there 7 more semesters.
Well, can you imagine being an athlete in Indiana or any place like that where you are, or if you're an Indiana basketball player, you're somebody, period.
Right.
Yeah, you don't want a little more of that and get paid?
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty good deal to me.
Yeah, it's not a bad gig at all. Speaking of Indiana basketball, and earlier you were talking about something that came to my mind. What happens when an NIL deal goes bad? For example, Xavier Johnson, someone who may have had a deal with him, and you have someone who kind of steps over the line a couple times. I mean, there's a couple things to talk about with him. You've got NIL deals. What are their, I'm sure that they have contractual things that they can get in and out of deals. But then right. Xavier Johnson, just as a story in and of itself, there's been nothing else more said. But under a normal circumstance, I would think it would be really hard to see Xavier Johnson back in an Indiana uniform after a second serious transgression. This is not, and I've seen so many fans try to poo-poo it off, and I'm like going, dude, it's not simple. This is not the first time. He left Pitt because of problems. He had issues already, and they have reared their head twice, nearly costing the season, leading teams down paths that they shouldn't be. And this is your senior leader. This is who you want on the floor. I don't think so.
I tend to agree. I haven't seen all the details, but the details I have seen, he was going 90. He led the police. He tried to elude them. Then when they caught him, he tried to switch sides so he would be the passenger instead of the driver. I know there's no alcohol or drugs involved from what I understand. But
well, not enough that it was an issue.
Right. And so that's an issue for me. And, if Mike Woodson is really about doing the right thing and holding guys accountable, if he really is the spawn of Bob Knight, he'll do something, that a lot of people will view as heavy-handed. Look, you, me, I'm sure Keegan, have all done some really stupid crap in college. Hell, I was doing stupid crap until I was 40. But, you're trying to establish your program, you've got to have standards. And I'm usually not one to come down hard on a college kid, but as you said, he left Pitt before the end of the season because of problems. He was involved in whatever happened out in Evanston, and before the Northwestern game, and now this. So either he's on zero tolerance or he's gone. And I realize that he's a very good player, a guy who played much better the last month of the season, and talent sometimes outweighs the stupid crap that you do. But I don't know. I'm inclined to tell him to take a walk.
Well, my fear is
Keegan's a young guy. What do you think?
I'm kind of on the same accord of what you think. I know there's been some people that have said, it needs to be a strike 3 thing, or you need to let them back with a game suspension. But
those are all fans that are thinking at it from a fan standpoint that want to see their team be as good as possible. And that would include having someone like Xavier Johnson. But my point is, you can't trust him.
Yeah.
You cannot trust him to not do this again. You can't trust him to not wreck the season in the middle of the season. You can't trust him to not put other players in harm's way, no matter who they are.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's my take on it. I'm not, I've done more crap than anybody. But that doesn't change the fact.
Yeah.
I also wasn't an Indiana basketball player. Right or wrong, that just carries more weight.
Yeah, there's a certain responsibility that comes with being a D1 athlete, and if he was a swimmer or a volleyball player or whatever the hell, I think he'd be gone by now. But because you've got an Indiana team that has a chance to be pretty good next year, I saw something in the Athletic where their preseason Seth Davis has them at 21. I mean, they could be a pretty good season depending on who comes back. And no, I think if Woody wants to set the standard, he has an opportunity to do so here. Look, it's not about it's not about making yourself look good. You want to do what's best for the kid, but sometimes what's best for the kid is the same thing as doing what's best for your own program. And I think that's the situation here.
Jim,
and I'm not all about.
We're over on break.
We'll get there. We'll get there in a second. What I was going to say is, it's better for the kid sometimes to get the punishment. Otherwise, you keep getting a pass, and now you've got this mentality that
I can get away with anything.
Okay. I can drive 90 miles an hour down Walnut at 3 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah. I mean, and the kids get a sense of entitlement. They start to feel like they can't be touched, and that's a bad thing, especially, if Trace leaves, Xavier is one of your top guys. That I think that sets a bad example for the rest of the team. And I don't know that we've ever really figured out what happened in Evanston. Honestly, I think there's more to it.
Well, we haven't been told everything. Yeah,
we haven't been told it. Yeah, I think there's more to it. Yeah. So
that'll eventually will come out.
One would think. So it's been a crazy couple of. I mean, with Dane being fired and then Thad leaving, I want Thad to hire Dane at Butler. How would that be?
Well, but now that was it Stevens, the guy that had actually been at Michigan State a little longer than Dane had been, has left and taken a job in one of the Michigan schools, Central, Eastern, Northern, Southern Michigan. They have all those Michigan schools, but I think he left. So there is an assistant's job open at Michigan State, FYI.
I'll be darned. Okay. I was not aware of that.
So that conveniently would be a possibility. And I can see Tom Izzo being pissed at how this was handled and welcoming Dane back with open arms. I don't know that, but I can see that.
I don't know either, but that's certainly an option. But I'd love to see Dane back here with Thad in Indianapolis with Butler. I think it's a home run hire, by the way. Ronald Norred would have been my first call, and the reason I said that was because I didn't think Thad, health-wise, was ready to proceed.
I did not either. I got to tell you, I was shocked.
I was a little surprised, but look, he's only 54, which
I know, but
I'm 62. And if he's healthy enough to do it, then God bless him. A lot of people have a second act in life, and I hope that this is a successful second act for Thad Matta.
Yeah, he was not physically ready when the Indiana job came around, and
he would have been the coach probably.
That's why he's not the coach at Indiana. I took a lot of flack over that a year or so ago, but I'm telling you, that's exactly the truth. We're getting back to he does. He's and he's someone you should take maybe some that look to who has battled. He's been battling through a lot of stuff while he's been in Indiana.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I remember walking into the Big Ten tournament, and I was walking behind him and said hello, but he has a hard time just kind of getting from point A to point B. So,
I went to shake
I
his
hope he's
hand
okay.
once early in the season, and he was masked up. He's like, I can't. I'm sick.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
and so yeah,
he's had his issues, so which I can relate to, unfortunately. But I
uh,
hope he's better. I hope he's better now, and I hope he has a second act. And what better place to do it than Butler?
getting back to the Xavier thing, another thing that concerns me: you're bringing in guys like Jalen Hood-Schifino, C.J. Gunn, all these young guys. That is not who I want around.
No, you look at when they had their little soiree in Evanston, Illinois. Didn't he take out? Didn't or whatever happened included what? Two freshmen? I believe it included two freshmen and a couple of transfers. That's not good. If one of your top guys is just not towing the line, that's a real issue. And look, I mean, he got suspended along with those guys at a point in the season where they looked like they were headed to the NCAA tournament with no problem, and then they lost 7 of their last 9, and it all started with the Northwestern game. So,
And how did that? And what happened at the Northwestern game? How did that get started? Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I think too, I think recruits, so one of your people made a good point. I think it's on very small type, so it's hard to see. But if you're a parent and you of a great player, I think that you want to see what happens with Xavier Johnson. If you're a parent, do you want your kid to play with Xavier Johnson, or do you want him to go to a program that holds its kids accountable? And so
We've seen parents.
I'll say,
We've seen parents make responses on Twitter.
okay, yeah.
I mean, to the affirmative. I think who was it that was C.J. Gunn's mom? She was a proponent of what happened back during the basketball season after Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a parent who's been holding your child accountable for the first 18 years, 17, 18 years of his life, you would hope that the coach that they play for will do exactly the same thing. They are, coaches are parental figures in these guys' lives, and if he's not gonna hold these kids accountable, if my son is 6'8" and can ball, I'm not sure I want him to play for Woody if he doesn't do something fairly significant here. It's a real mess. It's a very
No, this is not the old days.
situation.
These are, and it's kind of weird in a way, but it seems like all the families these kids come from now, not always, but, or maybe it just was not my experience growing up, but these kids come from good families. And to support what you just said, their parents have worked their ass off raising their kids.
Right.
And raising them in a way that they think is going to make them better citizens. They don't want them going off and being under the influence of some guy that they've already seen has been a bad influence on multiple players. How many different guys, has he impacted? We don't really know. We don't know what they've gotten away with.
Right. It's just, what have they been caught doing? So, yeah, I think it's something of a no brainer, but it's Woody's got to do something. I mean, I haven't heard hide nor hair about this whole thing, but we'll see. We'll see. It's going to be an interesting couple of weeks for Indiana University basketball.
Man, I've even got the producer who's not even on the show today tell me I got to take a break. So
we'll take a break, damn it.
I guess we got to take a break. I'll take a quick break, and if you've got a few more minutes, you can stick in with us. If not, we'll just welcome you back next week.
Yeah, I'll stick around. I got nothing to do. I'll make some more coffee.
We've got the great Bob Kravitz here on Indiana Sports Beat. We're back with that, brought to you by our fine friends at Southern Stone Restaurant at Patterson and Rogers in Bloomington. I was out there last night for a great testing that their head bar manager put on, Logan, and I'm back out there tonight. Oh, you're going to be jealous. They have a bourbon tasting tonight.
Ooh.
And it's not just that. It's they pair it, with all these things. It's a complete meal. And you probably hear me talking about the WOW Club, people that should join the WOW Club. If you're a WOW Club member, it's only $25. It's normally like $50, $60, but WOW Club members get it for $25. It's all the pairings, the flights, like a flight of 5 different bourbons, plus dinner, dessert, appetizer, the whole deal. It's incredible, but that's all going on at Southern Stone. Unfortunately, it's sold out. But in the future, I'm going to know about the ones in advance because I was like, man, I got to keep finding about these. Luckily, I know somebody there. I'm going to squeeze myself in there tonight, Bob. We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat right after this.
Coffee.
Okay. Me too.
So do you want to do a 3-minute segment and hit the next break, or do you just want to do 4 breaks instead of 5?
We can do 4 breaks because we're not having to do commercials for the radio station right now.
Okay.
I mean, other than our own.
Yeah.
So what time is it? It is 9:25.
We went to break at 9:24.
We're supposed to break at 9, but we're supposed to break at 9:30 again, right?
Yes.
But we can go to 9:50 because, damn it, why does that keep going away? When does who's up next?
It was supposed to be Kyle at 9:10, and that's why it made it hard to break because he wasn't here, so I could push you to get him in, but he's not here.
Well, then we just skip.
Yeah.
And he was supposed to be at 9:10, and it's already 9:26. And that would have taken us to 9:30. And we can actually go up. So we can actually go up to 9:50 then, right?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Man, I need more coffee. How much time do we have?
Got about a minute and a half.
I hate you.
You got a minute.
I hate you. It's all right. I can walk back out and get it.
5, 4,
I guess.
3, 2.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Wednesday. Hump Day made it to the halfway point, brought to you by the fine folks at Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. Oh yeah, I like to do this when there you go. #1 Honda dealer in Bloomington, #1 for a reason. Get more to your door with AndyMooreHonda.com. What was that? Who does he think he is? Huh? Keegan Nicholson thinks he's funny. Man, I had something good that I was going to talk about, Bob, and now I forgot what it was. Oh, I know what it was. Indiana saving some money here of late by losing Dane Fife. That's a $400,000 a year check. Losing, gee whiz, we just sit there and talked about him. Thad Matta, There's another $400,000 a year check that they'll be saving. And then there's Archie Miller, who I think will end up saving whoever it was that was going to supplant that about 3.7 or 2.7 million, I think. So close to 3 million. But this is well over $3 million that all this stuff that has happened has saved IU athletics and whomever was going to pay that deal out to Archie. He does not get that. That wasn't paid already. But there's some savings. I always thought that the Thad Matta thing was a makeup. Last year, like I said, I took a lot of grief over that story that he was not going to be the next head coach because of health concerns, and it was factual. But I think that was kind of. I think it was kind of hey, we know we can find a spot for you. Because you have to wonder how much could he have been doing if it was that easy to lose Dane Fife all at the same time, so you have to wonder, did Woody see the value in it?
Excuse me. I think that they're two different situations. With Thad, look, Thad, I think they would have liked to have kept him at Indiana to provide those guardrails for Woody. I think they're going to have to hire somebody to replace him in that position. But with Dane, I mean, he was fired. I mean, there was some crap going on that right. That we're not completely clear on. Certainly Jeff Rabjohns, our buddy, had a little more detail on it, and I trust Rabby's reporting instincts.
But I've also heard that Dane's not all that happy with that. A lot of that information that was said, which says there's some disagreement.
It didn't reflect well on him. That's for damn sure. But
well,
whatever the reasons were, Jim, he got fired.
Right.
Fair or not, he got let go. I mean, that press release made it abundantly clear that Woody wanted no more part of Dane Fife. What the reasons were, hopefully maybe someday we'll find out. But that I think him, he was pushed out, and clearly Thad had a chance at something that he really wanted to do.
Well, it does a lot of things. He doesn't have to buy another house. He already has the house in Indianapolis.
Right.
He doesn't have to move. How often is it that you got to get a coaching job and you don't move unless you're an assistant moving up? That just doesn't happen. You look at Michael Lewis, which I'm sure he's fine with it, but good Lord, not only are you moving across the country, but you're moving from Southern California to Muncie. Nothing against Muncie, but
it ain't Westwood.
Man, it ain't Westwood, baby. No palm trees in Muncie, and that's like Siberia to me. But
you will not be leading the parade on Memorial Day or whatever.
I'll wait for them to come down here. And looking forward to that. That there's a Ball State Indiana game coming.
No
at
doubt.
Some point. But I was thinking about the coaching right now here in this state. You got Woodson and crew at Indiana. You've got Painter still there at Purdue, Mike Bray at Notre Dame. But now you've got Thad Matta at Butler and Michael Lewis at Ball State, waiting for I don't know what the hell they're doing at Evansville right now.
Yeah,
that thing's in a mess. But basketball is seems like it's getting back to a better place in this state. It hasn't been very good for a while. Notre Dame really nothing. Purdue has just been flamed out. Purdue has just not performed to the level that they've had the opportunity to perform to. Indiana obviously has not. So it's been a very disappointing production from the state of Indiana, the state that produces probably more talent per capita than anybody in the country. Part of that has been players going elsewhere. Part of that is bad hires at Indiana for certain.
Yeah, that's for sure. It's going to come down to the portal. Who can grab guys? I mean, there's over 1,000 players in the portal now, and it's about recruiting kids out of the portal as opposed to recruiting high school kids, and that's how you get better. And I'll be curious to see what Woody and everybody else does. It looks like Matt Painter. They went into the tournament with every single one of their players being homegrown. Well, that's going to change here in the next year or so with Trevion leaving and Ivy leaving and Sasha. And so it's all about the transfer portal.
Or soon will be. Yeah, I wanted to bring this up. Lil Rhodey, as I call him, Lil Rhodey, Archie Miller, up there at Rhode Island, bringing in Kenny Johnson, a former assistant at Indiana under Tom Crean, a former assistant at Louisville, who then went on to, was it LaSalle he went to after that? I can't believe that he was able to get a job, but he did. Just like I can't believe that Sean Miller was able to secure a job at this particular point in time. How the hell would Will Wade? Could Will Wade get a job right now?
Yes. Every single one of them can. Look, who was it? Art Briles? Remember the football coach?
Baylor.
He was hired, and then everybody went nuts, and he got let go before he could start. If you have talent and you can win and you can bring money into the university, they will find a spot for you. If you're a talented athlete, if you're a talented coach, that's just the way it is, whether we like it or not. There's no standards.
Kenny Johnson was a well-known recruiter. He was involved in the issues at Louisville.
Right.
So there's that. I'm not sure if I'm not up to speed enough on that. We'll have Bozich on later. If he's still in line for any potential show cause, Sean Miller definitely is. So how a school can hire a guy with potential show cause coming is crazy to me, idiotic. But I don't know if maybe they got some mob money up there in Providence.
Oh yeah. I don't know how to respond to that, Jim. Yeah, Providence is a unique place. It was so funny. I'll just tell you this real quick. We were at a Colts Patriots game. We were staying in Providence. We went up to Federal Hill, which is the Italian section of the city. Great restaurants. And I go into this one place, and it's like everybody had a pinky ring. Like it was so mobbed up, it was hysterical. But damn, the food was good. And if it wasn't good, I certainly wasn't going to say anything.
Have you watched or been able to watch Winning Time?
I have not yet. I have not. I've been Jeff Pearlman's a friend of mine, and I know he's from what I hear, it's really good and really entertaining, and takes a lot of liberties with the truth. Like they make Jerry West out to be
that's evil, the one. That's the one I've heard the worst of.
Yeah, that it's not a documentary, but I think you need to stay as close to the truth as you possibly can. And I think this whole artistic license thing, I'd be mortified if I were Jerry West or somebody who is close to Jerry West watching it. Now, I have not seen it. I'm just saying that is the big issue, is the way Jerry West is portrayed.
I think they took his I think he was probably that competitive, but they took his competitive nature that was at that you have to be a pro to get a team to the final 6 times. And I got to be honest with you, if I got to the final 6 damn times, I might be that damn crazy if you lost all 6 of them. I wonder if the stories of him throwing his NBA MVP trophy through the window were true, because to me that's
not.
pretty cool. That was not
It's
true.
not true. Not true.
Damn it. That one would have been cool to be true.
A lot of what happened, apparently, again, I haven't seen it. I'm going to when I'm recovering. I plan on watching the whole thing. Yeah, but I hear it's not representative of the truth.
One thing that was Jerry Tarkanian damn near became the coach of the Los Angeles Lakers, and was very close. And wasn't the issue with his manager being killed true?
That I don't know. I'm sorry, Jim.
I think that one was. I'm pretty sure that one was true. John Leskowski, I ran into him the other night, and we were talking about it, and he was the one talking about Jerry West, that how he got screwed over. He wasn't a jerk like that.
Right.
But
Tark coached San Antonio for a short period of time.
Do you know where Tark almost ended up before you almost ended up at the Lakers?
That's it. Yeah. I did not. I didn't know.
At Indiana.
Oh, really?
John Wooden allegedly recommended Jerry Tarkanian for the Indiana job because they had came to John Wooden first, apparently, and he was, in the midst of his Sam Gilbert run at UCLA, where he was having all the players provided for him. But I forget what it was with Tarkanian, but it's funny, and I'm sure you could do that with any school, but it is so funny, the people that were almost coaches at Indiana.
Calipari.
The first one, goes back deeper than that. Indiana football. Newt Rockne.
Oh, really?
Newt Rockne. I remember reading a letter that Newt Rockne wrote to Indiana for an assistant football coaching position.
Wow.
He was turned down.
Indiana
How does that
baby.
change? How does that change Indiana's fortunes right there? I mean, I'm serious. I mean, Newt Rockne applied for a position that was turned down.
Basketball, I was talking to somebody recently. They were saying that Calipari was in line for the IU job. I know for a fact, personally, that there was a point when Tom Izzo would have listened.
Well,
while he was having his run at Michigan State, which continues to this day, but Tom Izzo had reached out to some people about the Indiana job. So a lot of misses there.
Who's the former Michigan basketball coach right before Jalen? Jawan.
Oh, not Fisher. Beeline.
John Beeline. I also was been told that John Beeline was either in consideration or not offered. So that was before he went to Michigan.
Oh, that's before he went to Michigan. Okay, I was told that after Archie got let go, that Beeline was very much in fact, I had one college basketball coach tell me it's going to be Beeline. I didn't write it because I couldn't get anything confirmed, but whether they changed their mind or whether that was complete nonsense, I have absolutely no idea. But he was in the running.
Yeah, I think that that is a name that I heard, but he's just I think his age. That's what they're like. If we're going to get an older guy, you're going to probably go with Woodson. Although Beeline had the track record.
That he did. Yeah.
Go
ahead.
I was going to say, but sometimes you just catch magic at a certain place, and I don't know that. Once you leave and then you get a little older and then you go someplace completely different, but who knows? I mean, Fisher had a great run out at San Diego State. We've seen a lot of guys, and a lot of times though, it's those guys that get off of the grid a little bit that have that success. Coming to an Indiana is not exactly getting off the grid.
No, That it is not.
If I can interrupt for a second, Jeff
Of course you
Goodman
can.
just broke some news that Indiana Director of Operations Ben Sander is joining Archie Miller on his staff at Rhode Island. So
Okay.
Hoosiers just lost another assistant.
Okay.
Well, he's director. He had gotten moved up to that position after Brian Walsh had been elevated to a different position last season before he became coach. But
What the
an
hell is
Archie
going
guy,
on at IU? What the hell is going on at the alma mater?
he's an Archie guy. He's an Archie guy.
I'm sorry to hear that.
I wouldn't have been surprised that Brian Walsh had been offered the position, but I bet you Brian said no. He probably liked where he was and can see he had enough time in that mess to, yeah. He's much better off where he is. He's going to learn a lot more. He's going to get to do a lot more. He's going to be a lot more involved in a much bigger time program. He's going to get to recruit much bigger time recruits. He was very involved in the Gabe Cups recruiting. People are concerned about the Miro Lidl announcement coming. For everything I've heard, Indiana is not in the driver's seat with that anyway, Keegan, that's a Baylor pick most likely anyway. So
Miro
Fife
Lidl
is not going to, yeah.
It's Baylor or Villanova. He's deciding between. I mean, Indiana's still technically in the running, but with the lead recruiter not on staff anymore, it probably takes a hit of their chances. So
yeah.
I was talking about the guys getting those jobs earlier. Jesse says I don't be surprised at those guys getting jobs when Bruce Pearl keeps making job promoting failures. The coaching carousel is a lot about who you know. Well, it is, but it used to be a time where there was some integrity, and that ship has long sailed, baby. What can you do for me today?
Oh, absolutely. It's cutthroat. It's a production business, and that's probably it's no different from any other business. It's like, journalism is the same thing. If you can write great stuff, they'll hire you. If you're, that's college sports. With the NIL now and the portal, I think things will eventually settle down. I think a lot of these kids in the portal will find out there's no place for them to go. The grass is not, in fact, greener on the other side. So, it's an interesting deal. But college sports have changed so dramatically since when I was a little younger. That is for sure.
Robert Schwartz says, seems the better state players want to go to the ACC, SEC, Big East. Well, you know what? I don't know that I necessarily agree with that. It's just that they put out a lot, but the Big Ten is not winning NCAA tournament games. And nope. I think that is a direct indictment on the style of play the Big Ten plays all year long with these bigs, the lumbering offense, the pounded in. They get beat by speed in the tournament. We've seen it for the last 2 years when the Big Ten has had the most teams in, but yet they're the quickest to get wiped.
We've seen it the last 20 years, 22 years. What was it, 2000 when
Michigan State
Cleves and the Flintstones won? And you watch the Final Four, and the guard play is impeccable. The guard play is, the speed, the ability to create.
The Big 12 is the same way. Even those Big 12 teams.
Big 12 is the same way. And then you watch Purdue, and God bless them, they take advantage of their strengths, but it's dump the ball inside, dump the ball inside, dump the ball inside. And that may mean a hell of a lot of success within the conference during the regular season. But you get to the NCAA tournament, and I'm sorry, but Hunter and Thompson and Sasha are not gonna get it for you.
And they haven't. And I think, and I will say this, I do think that that's a narrative that Archie Miller's trying to change at Indiana with the recruits and the style of players he's bringing in.
You mean Woodson?
Yes. What did I say? Yes.
Yeah. You said Archie. Yeah. I was
Oh,
like, is he
good God.
back?
Oh, my Lord. Whoo. Yes. What the style of guys he's trying to bring in, like Jalen Hitchafinos, who have played under those pressure situations with those high profile players and high profile games. I rewatched that championship game last night or this morning, whenever it was. But that's the style that 4 out 1 in that he was not able to use this year because of personnel. That's where he's trying to get to.
Right. He wants an NBA style type of deal, guard oriented, and I think that's the right way to go. But I think the Big Ten is. I think the Big Ten's got some work to do.
No doubt, my brother. Well, I hope you have an enjoyable rest of your week and weekend. Unfortunately, that will not involve any golf. I can look at the weather. You may not even be able to go out for nice walks right now. But
I know. What can you do?
I hope you find something fun to do. Now that college basketball is over, man, that's like a break. We do have baseball coming up though, so that should keep you happy.
Hockey playoffs.
They still play that game? They're still playing it. The great Bob Kravitz from The Athletic joining us. Make sure you give him a follow and be a subscriber. I am. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you.
All right, buddy. Take care. See you.
We are back. You betcha. Back with the Hall of Famer Rick Bozich from WDRB.com right after this break from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. Get more to your door with AndyMooreHonda.com. Hello, Rick. We cannot hear you speaking. You're either muted or may have to go back out and come back in or check the settings at the bottom of StreamYard. I hear something different now. Speak. Not yet.
Hello?
Going to those settings.
Hey.
Yeah, I hear you.
There we go.
Now we're all right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Those computers just switch to stuff sometimes. Mine used to do it all the time.
Okay.
How are you doing, man?
I'm doing okay. Waiting on this news to see if Archie Miller's really hiring Kenny Johnson.
Oh, that's not confirmed yet?
I mean, it's been reported on Twitter. I haven't seen the official press conference announcement.
Well, we just had it go out that Benny Sanders is going there.
Who?
Benny Sander from Indiana. The Debo here at Indiana.
Really?
Yeah, he was an Archie guy.
He was on Woodson's staff?
Mm.
Yeah, last year he was retained, and I don't remember what he did last year. I'd have to look it up. He took Brian Walsh's last year position, and Walsh was moved to director of recruiting. But yeah, Sander has just been Keegan said that Goodman just new URI coach Archie Miller's staff will consist of Kenny Johnson. Goodman's saying it is of Kenny Johnson, Dwayne Woodard, and Austin Carroll, with Benny Sander as chief of staff, and Ryan McCloskey as the assistant operations.
Okay. Benny Sander, yeah. 5 seasons at IU. Went to Arizona, so he's connected to Sean. I didn't know Benny. You know him?
I did not either. I did not know him.
Actually,
I knew.
Funnily enough, he's really good friends with my cousin that I learned mid-season. He's like golfing buddies with him.
He was director of ops at IU, so IU will have to.
Then why didn't you break this story?
I've never met him. I heard that probably like.
I'm trying to teach these guys, Rick, that they have to develop these contacts, man.
Yep.
And not that I'm the greatest at it. These guys are. These Hall of Famers. He'll tell you it's what you got to do, brother. You've got to get that stuff.
Where is Dane going to go? Do you guys know?
I do not. But,
I'm going to guess Butler.
Why? I mean, why would he want to go to Butler? Well,
Save
I mean,
that
right now,
for 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you here on this Wednesday. We've made it to the halfway point, and joined now by Hall of Famer writer Rick Bozich from WDRB.com. Make sure you give him a follow there. Keep you up to date on everything going on in the sports world in general, especially when it comes to college basketball. One of the greats, and there's plenty going on, even though the season is over, Rick. The chatter continues, whether it's the portal, coaching changes, potential coaching changes, hires. We just saw it come out that Lil Rhodey, Archie Miller, has got Kenny Johnson on his staff, former IU and U of L assistant Kenny Johnson, who is still under a potential NCAA cloud. And now Benny Sander, who was Indiana's director of basketball ops for last season, after replacing Brian Walsh in that position, but he came here with Archie, so now he's going to become the chief of staff, as Jeff Goodman is reporting it. And Lil Rhodey's staff will have Kenny Johnson, Dwayne Woodard, and Austin Carroll up there. So Archie, Lil Rhodey's got his staff intact, it looks like.
You know, the thing that's surprised by that is that Tom Ostrom's not part of the group.
I did not suspect he has been. I ran into him, ironically, through a business associate, and the group that's putting the camps on at places like Kentucky and Kansas that the players are getting to participating in and making very nice NIL money from. He is working with that group.
Okay. Well,
and I can promise you that is a lot. That is a lot greater job security. I would imagine. Just a hunch there, but
probably a lot less stressful life of having to drive and watch some high school guy play 40 times and then have him tell you, "Yeah, I'm coming. Oh, no, I'm going somewhere else."
He didn't seem head coach driven to me either. It was not like you didn't hear his name. He'd been an assistant for nearly a decade.
Yeah, he was involved in one head coaching search though the year before.
Northern Kentucky, I think, wasn't it?
That's right.
That was the only one that I ever recall bringing up. But
the one Darren Horn.
But anyway, well, you would know since you covered Louisville. Is Kenny Johnson still under potential show cause possibilities?
Yeah, I mean that case hasn't been resolved yet. Louisville's still waiting for a resolution. They just filed their response to the. I don't even know which group it is, whether it's the enforcement committee or the IARP or who you file the response to, but they just filed it like 2 weeks ago, and I think they've got like 8 or 9 months still to get through the entire process. So, no, he's not in the clear. In fact, I think, he got hired after he left Louisville at like
LaSalle,
and he coached there for a year or two, and then they changed athletic directors, and I'm pretty sure the new athletic director wasn't okay with it, and he was gone. I think he was out of basketball last year.
So. Yep, and so that amazes me. You see Sean Miller, who is also still waiting to see what the NCAA has to say about what happened under his watch at Arizona. Now, Xavier, being a private school, I guess they can not care, but they're still under the auspices of the NCAA when it comes to playing. Or being eligible for the tournament.
Win, man. Xavier wants to win. I mean, if you're hiring Sean Miller, that's what you're telling. We want to win. We're in the Big East. We want to win the Big East. We don't like being out in the tournament. We don't care what you think.
Well, we've seen Sean Miller return to Xavier and Thad Matta return to Butler. The Thad Matta one was a little surprising to me because I still did not think, and just from a visual standpoint, I didn't know he was healthy enough to go through the rigors of being a head coach yet, because I know, those guys spend long hours, the travel, the recruiting, and just being around him, you could see that he's dealing with issues, and but obviously he knows himself better than anyone else, so he must feel to the level where he can do that.
Yeah, and I think Butler's the kind of place that would certainly be willing to take the chance it's going to work because he's already been successful there. Their program has, had a pretty consistent decline from Brad Stevens to Chris Holtman to Lavelle Jordan, and they're not in the horizon anymore. They're in the Big East, so much tougher pool to swim in. And when you're in that league, you got to have somebody who gives you a little bit of stature, and he does that. And I'm sure with the right assistants around him that he can at least find out if it's going to work or not. But yeah, I agree with you. I mean, just watching him move around and stuff, he looked like somebody would be hard for him to physically do all the things that are demanded of a head coach, especially during recruiting season. Get out and look at players and be active. I mean, when you watch him walk, sometimes he doesn't look like he looks like he's in pain. And what was weird is the whole time at IU, we ever got to talk to him one time, did we? I don't think we
Nope.
did.
And I saw, as a matter of fact, I think it was in the Star that they had made multiple requests that were never honored.
Right.
So that's just a very odd situation. But I was mentioning earlier when Bob Kravitz was on, Indiana's going to save a lot of money over the next couple of years between Dane Fife at $400K and Thad Matta at $400K a year. There's nearly $1 million, and then the nearly $3 million that they're going to save on Archie Miller. So that's a lot of. There's some savings that they can look forward to.
Yeah, I agree, and I don't know. It was never really ever explained what Thad Matta did. I mean, it was almost like he was there to keep Indiana fans.
I don't know what
make them feel more secure that if you don't have faith that Mike Woodson can coach, Thad Matta is also there, and he's got a track record. Because he sat there at the scorer's bench too, which was always weird, right next to Scott Dolson during the game, which I thought was.
I think he had the greatest $400,000 a year job that you could possibly have.
Right.
And I'd sure like to have had it for a year. I could stretch that out, baby. But he's off to Butler. Michael Lewis at Ball State. A lot of big coaching moves within the state of Indiana here over the last week. Michael Lewis gets his first coaching job at Ball State. He has waited, bided his time. I remember last year, I was convinced that he was going to be in Dane Fife's position. I was just convinced that because he and Dane were supposed to have come on the show the morning of the game that they were playing in that first 4-in game, and Dane canceled, and I wished I would have. It stuck in my head, but I was too busy and let it go, and I wish I would have followed up on that. But I was still convinced it was going to be Michael Lewis. They were just waiting for Dane to get finished. But afterwards, talking to Michael, he said, I'm not leaving Westwood for anything other than a head coaching job. And he was smart because you look at what happened to Dane, and when you don't have the control, at least whatever control you have as a head coach, I can only imagine what that would be like. So Michael's a very smart guy, and now he's the head coach at Ball State, which is a great place for him to start.
Yeah. He's from Indiana, obviously. He's coached at Butler. He knows the area. He's had success under a lot of different coaches, whether it was with, was he with Stevens there at all at Butler? I know he was with Holtman. He was with.
I can't remember if the call. So and now, and the funny thing is, the whole time I'm thinking the Butler job, Lavelle Jordan had not been fired yet, and someone said, "Well, don't you think they would have fired him by now if they're going to?" I'm like, I guess. And
wait for
now I wonder.
Or something?
Yes, exactly. It was. I think it was the day that his buyout dropped is when they did that. But being a former assistant there, boy, I wonder if you talk about timing of a couple of weeks. I wonder if that's kind of something that.
Right.
That
the thing about Michael Lewis, if he can come into Ball State and have success right here in the middle of the Midwest, we all know that jobs turn over in the Big Ten, and he'll be a prime candidate. If he can have success in Muncie, go to the NCAA tournament, maybe pull off an upset, he'll raise his profile up considering his background as a former Big Ten player, considering what he did at UCLA and part of their success. In 2 or 3 years from now, when a Big Ten job opens, I think Michael Lewis will be a prime candidate to go someplace in the Big Ten.
And looking forward to that. I've always liked Michael. He's bided his time, but he's coached under some good coaches, and he seems like a guy that is learning, that is really wanting to learn. I mean, Mick Cronin, I love how he coaches. I don't see how he doesn't have a stroke, but you have to enjoy, and you cannot argue with the success he had. He did it at Cincinnati where it was difficult to do, and then he goes to UCLA, and then seems like overnight turned them into back to the magic of Westwood.
Yeah, Mick Cronin's another guy's got good coaching DNA in his background, having worked under Bob Huggins and Rick Pitino. I think he's kind of borrowed from both those guys to build his own system and the way he goes about doing things. And he's didn't go as far this year, but he had some injuries. They lose to Gonzaga, UCLA. I don't remember. I think it was Gonzaga. But anyway,
I was out there too. No, didn't they both?
They beat
win their
St.
games
Mary's.
and lose
No, they would have lost to somebody else. I don't remember who it was.
Yeah,
North Carolina.
Might have been North Carolina.
North Carolina, yeah.
North Carolina.
Yeah, they both moved on.
Yeah, Cronin's got it going on, and his name was mentioned briefly here at Louisville, but I think it was going to be Kenny Payne the whole way, and it is Kenny Payne, and still waiting for him to put his staff together.
And that's something I was going to mention. Some surprises. The guys I thought may go there ended up going to other places. What do you think his staff is going to eventually look like as far as the type of makeup?
Kenny? One of them's going to be Nolan Smith, who's going to leave Duke. He's already told Duke he's leaving, and he's coming to be the associate head coach at Louisville. And Nolan's got great credentials. Duke had the #1 recruiting class in the country this year, and Nolan was involved with a number of those guys. So I think that'll work. The other
His
two
father
spots,
was Derek Smith, who passed away, unfortunately, too young.
Yeah, Derek Smith, who played on the 1980 Louisville championship team with Darrell Griffith. The other two guys aren't known yet. I've been told that he's picked them. He just hadn't announced it yet. I think one of them will be an older guy with maybe some head coaching experience in his background. And I think the other guy will be a younger guy, who's probably has more connections out in the basketball world.
Speaking about a resume for Michael Lewis, coached under Stevens, Miller, and Holtman at Butler.
There you go.
That's a builder there. And, he's talking about, well, we already talked about Sean Miller, but Kansas wins the national championship. Speaking of NCAA investigations, another team with the NCAA holding. This is, and it's kind of the last of this because we've gotten into the situation where cheating is basically no longer illegal.
Cheating's
I mean, it just is what it is. You can hand out bank full of cash now. You can find a way to do it, but they still have to deal with the cheating that was going on prior. Teams like, I hate to say it again, but Louisville, Kansas, and
Arizona.
Bill Self is another coach. Arizona. Bill Self is another coach, though, that is under some heavy potential violations, and he could potentially be sanctioned. This is a banner that could potentially come down. I don't know that I see him doing that like they did to Louisville. I was surprised they did it to Louisville. I think that there was too much in their recent past, but I don't see him doing it to Kansas. But I just don't think it's a great look for the sport when your national champion is under such a cloud of suspicion of cheating.
Yeah, I mean, I think Kansas has written the playbook for how to go to deal with the NCAA, basically saying deny everything, push back on everything, saying we don't agree with what you're saying, then we're going to double down and back our coaches. I mean, throughout this entire process, Bill Self, his contract was strengthened and extended with Kansas. The assistant coach, who was, I think, mentioned in some of the stuff with Zion Williamson about we need to really get this guy. What do we have to do to get it done? He's still there. I mean, they did nothing, and Kansas basically just thumbed their nose at the NCAA, and I think other schools have looked at it and said that's the way to go. And I think I read somewhere though that none of the players on this team were involved in that thing. So the banner, Kansas might end up getting some sanctions, probably some kind of a light probation, but the banners, the championship banner won't come down.
Right. Bill Self, I don't see him doing much to him either.
No.
North Carolina has, to me, paved the way for how you deal with the NCAA. You deny everything. You don't deal with them. You send the people that worked for you during that period away, like they used to in The Godfather. Yeah, we don't know where he is. They don't work here anymore. They're gone. We don't know what happened to them. Because that's what happened in North Carolina. The people, two of the big people who are involved, no longer work there. So it's very, very convenient.
And then they don't have to cooperate with the NCAA.
Nope. The NCAA is such a teethless organization. Indiana going forward now, Xavier Johnson, the mess that he has gotten himself in now, we've talked about this all week. I personally don't see how he stays on the team. I don't see how Mike Woodson can make the stand that he made at Northwestern and then have a guy that was kind of the central figure and your senior leader that damn near derailed the season and cost your entire everybody everything, and then does this. I'm like, that's not a guy I can trust to make the right decisions. That's not a guy I can trust to have other teammates around. That's not a guy I can trust to lead this team. But whether he stays or goes, I don't know.
Yeah, there really has been no comment from IU at all, other than that statement they issued the morning after. When did this happen? Saturday night? Sunday night?
Saturday night. It was early Sunday morning, Saturday night.
Yeah, it's not a good look to have a guy who was one of the 5 players suspended at Northwestern, which was in the middle of that 5-game losing streak that almost knocked Indiana out of the tournament, then to come back and be this irresponsible again. And I know that people say kids make mistakes, and we do. We do know that teenagers and young 20-year-olds make mistakes. But you're also not the normal 20-year-old. You're a representative of a university who should understand that whatever you do is going to be blown out of proportion and going to be in the public eye. And so you have to err on the side of not doing that kind of stuff. And especially when you've already got at least one strike against you that we already know of. So we'll see. We'll see what Mike Woodson does. I think people will be watching to see if he does. I kind of think if he was going to remove him from the team, it would already have happened, but maybe not. But we'll see how they explain it if he does stay on the team.
My only thought of why it may not have happened would be the same reason that Race Thompson or someone like that has not announced their intentions yet. Maybe the coaching staff has asked, hey, let's keep this under wraps and as long as you can, especially for someone like Race Thompson. It doesn't matter if he were to leave. And if they're trying to do whatever it is they're trying to do in the portal, who knows, or with the recruitment of the Reno from.
So what your sense is that Race Thompson's gone? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know. I would have thought that he was. I thought from the beginning that he was, but I'm like, okay, why wait this long to announce it? I mean, Trace Jackson Davis is in a different situation, and I get that a little bit, but there's no reason for Race not to announce that he is staying or going other than the staff asking him, because I can't think there's no other, reason for it. I can't come up with one. I'd be a little surprised, but I guess that would save them from having to go into the portal because he still has to be replaced. I don't know that. I don't think we're going to see those guys on the floor together as nearly as much next year. That offense was stagnant at times, but you didn't have the personnel, and you're going to have that personnel next year.
Well,
and
you
that's
know, I
another
heard the
thing.
last. When I was in the green room, I heard the last thing that Bob Kravitz said, talking about the national championship game and really the whole entire Final Four. Of what really does strike you when you watch Big Ten basketball compared to other leagues is with Kofi and Trace, and there's a couple of Edie and Travion Williams and Hunter Dickinson. The Big Ten is a little bit behind the curve on the way it plays the game. And I do think that Mike Woodson has shown in his recruiting so far with 4 of the 5 guys that he's either signed or got commitments from that are guards or perimeter players, that he realizes that, that's not the way to go. You need to play a different style of basketball. So I agree with you. I mean, we've seen and they both have been really hard working players who've can't question their effort or their commitment to Indiana basketball, but the Race Thompson, Trace Jackson Davis dynamic on the court at one time seems to have played itself out, and it's time for Indiana to go a different direction, in my opinion, where you've got some. They need shooters, man. You got to have guys who can make 3-point shots.
Well, I've talked about CJ Gunn. I mean, he's going to be a freshman. If his game can transfer, he's a shooter.
Yeah, he is.
I think that Jalen Hood-Schifino, I don't know how good of a 3-point shooter he is, but I'm going to say he's pretty decent. I watched that championship game again, and he's been forced to just be the point guard for them, or was, because Sky Clark.
Right? Is that right? He didn't score.
He was just facilitating. With
and he has some kind of hand injury too, or something.
I think it was a thumb. When Keegan, wasn't it a thumb?
His whole hand was swollen like a balloon. I don't know if it was a really bad bruise or a fracture or something, but he really couldn't shoot or use that motion with his hand at all. So,
and he was their only point guard. Sky Clark out with injuries, so he had enough talent around him that he could just do what he needed to do and facilitate, and played pretty good defense. But he's not a typical freshman coming in. So Indiana has already raised their talent level. And then there's the potential of someone like Nigel Pack, who's in the portal, and that's someone that I could see replacing Xavier Johnson. It's a guy that Archie didn't recruit to begin with, that he should have, that went to Kansas State and averaged 18 points a game.
Yeah, there's a lot of those guys that he should have recruited, but he didn't, right?
Yeah, half of Purdue's roster.
He took Demisi Anderson instead of Aaron Henry. That was the first
that worked out great for him.
But that didn't work out too good, and there's a long list of guys I'm sure we can go through. The guy that I think they really blew it with was Jake LaRavia, who went to I think he was from Lawrence Central or Lawrence North. He went to Indiana State and then went to Wake Forest. He's a good player, man. He could have really been an important player to Indiana. But yeah, I agree. Woodson knows what needs to be done. He's not resisting it. He just didn't have the personnel to do it. And even last year, I mean, people talk about Indiana's 3-point shooting. They got shots. A couple of the guys that were supposed to make the shots couldn't make them at a high enough level, or they couldn't get open to take enough of them. You got to have better dudes at those positions. So we'll see what they do in terms of fixing that. But I think they understand what needs to be done, and they're working towards fixing it. It was a roster issue this year, and we'll see. We'll see how well they can fix it in just one off season.
Murray State loses their coach to LSU, then loses 8 players to the portal and 1 decommits. LSU lost, 9 or 10 players
11.
to the portal. 11 now. Oh my God. Louisville, Deontay Davis, and then now Dre Davis, losing those guys. A couple of Indiana guys. I don't know that there'll be any Indiana interest there. Keegan,
yeah, somebody said they're looking at Penn State because of the connection with Shrewsbury. I've heard that. So
you've got that. And then the last thing, opening day, Major League Baseball. Late, but here.
Yeah, we had AAA baseball here last night in the rain. Baseball season starts tomorrow, correct? Is that right?
Yes.
The White Sox don't start till Friday. Let's get it on, man. Let's get it on. I'm ready to go. It's been a weird off season because of the lockout and not a lot of baseball talk for months and months and months, which I think hurts the game. I mean, baseball needs as much publicity as it can get because it's squeezed out of the room by the NFL and other sports so much, and they've done a poor job of promoting their own sport. But I feel bad for Reds fans in this area because they've already given up, man. They've already gotten rid of some of their best players. I mean, I don't see how, if you're a Reds fan, how you could be excited about this. And that's the number one problem that baseball has is there's like 5 or 6 of those teams. I mean, Baltimore.
Didn't the Reds give up like 30 years ago?
The Reds gave up. Yeah. Baltimore, Washington, the Reds. I think you could make that argument maybe for Cleveland, although they just signed Ramirez today. They're going to keep him around. But yeah, there's a lot
Oakland
of teams
too.
trying. Pittsburgh. Who's the other one?
Oakland.
That's the greatest example of all. Their salary now is the same as it was in dollar figures in 1991.
From Billy Bean?
Yeah, he does this every 3 or 4. They make a run for it, and then when their guys get to arbitration and start making real money, what they're actually worth, they dump them. They traded Chapman, the third baseman. They traded Olsen.
You saw what the owner said in the movie. I'm asking you to do more with less.
That's everywhere, man.
That was 30 years ago he told him that. And he's the jackass that turned down the, $12 million deal from the Red Sox? Oh.
I got one question for you. What's the chatter you're hearing out of spring football in Indiana? Anything? What's going on with the quarterback?
Keegan actually would be the better to answer that. Not a lot, just a little bit. We talked
Missouri guy. Is he the front runner? The Missouri guy.
I mean, I think that he has to be, but we haven't been able to see him. So, Keegan, what you're covering a little bit more.
Give a short synopsis because we got to hit a break, but they're being really hush-hush on who may be leading that quarterback competition. I asked Emery Simmons, the first-year wide receiver, yesterday how his relationship with Bazelak is, and he just said, I have a good relationship with all the quarterbacks, and I get in work with all the quarterbacks and all that stuff. But I think a few names to pay attention to are Miles Jackson, the defensive end from UCLA. I think he's really going to be a difference maker and an X factor, and he Coach Tegarden, who runs the Bulls position, called him different and a little freaky. And then he came on the press conference, and you can see it. He's just a massive guy. And then also Cam Camper, a wide receiver from Trinity Valley Junior College, 4-star prospect out of that junior college. I think he's going to be super, super good. But yeah, it's looking good. A lot of discussion about the new system that Walt Bell's employing and how there's a lot of learning terminology and growing pains and a learning curve is the phrase I've heard a few times. And so it's
one more. What about from me being from Louisville, the linebacker from Ballard who came from Kentucky,
Jaron Casey?
Yeah.
He's looking good. I think he's taken a good leadership role, and it looks like he should be able to get a lot of playing time and see a lot of playing time early on. So,
all right.
There's your football update, baby.
Huh?
There's your football update. No spring game for Indiana.
No spring game?
No, they may do a scrimmage or something.
Hush, hush, huh?
Yeah, maybe a closed spring game, but we got to take a break.
All right,
can't miss this one.
Yeah,
thanks.
Last year just ruined them in so many ways. It just did. It was a shame.
Yeah.
The great Rick Bozich. Make sure you follow him at WDRB.com. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you, sir. Look forward to doing it again soon. Hey, we got to take a quick break. Back with more here at Indiana Sports Beat. Brought to you by our good friends from Endeavor Hospitality, Cabello Restaurant, the former Grazie out of the square. Great place to go grab a meal. That food is incredible. I can't wait. Of course, I'm going back to Southern Stone tonight. But Cabello is a great place. And don't forget BB's Market, the former Wagon Wheel. You can go in and have their breakfast sandwiches are out of this world, but they've got specialty meats like you can order online. Go join the WOW Club in your app store. Order the meats, for your grilling out and your tailgating and all that, and you earn. So back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
We're gonna have about a 1.5-minute segment.
That'll be fine.
Back in
That'll be
here.
perfect. We had great stuff today, though.
Yeah, we did.
Multiple great segments that you can send to.
What did you like best? Which of Kravitz did you like best?
I have to go back and listen to it.
I thought his Masters talk was interesting.
But there's two. You can get at least two out of that.
I know.
Because it went long. Let's see. Oh, yeah. God, this show went faster than any show this week.
Well, you had like, what was it? 20 extra minutes of content.
What?
Because you missed a whole break.
Well, but that's because there's stuff to do, people to talk to with it.
I know. That's probably why it went faster, because you were engaged more than.
And I still haven't talked about that text you sent me about Texas A&M giving over $25 million.
Yeah.
And that's the boosters.
It's just the boosters. Yeah.
Which basically the same as companies, because that way they're running it through a tax deductible thing, I'd say.
Yeah.
I just sent you a picture.
Must always have an IUBB clip. Okay. Should we get another Should we get another Xavier?
The reason I'm saying that is look at the top YouTube searches down below that.
Yeah.
Now that changes, but those top two are pretty much the same.
Yeah. So I'll have John cut up a clip for Kravitz talking about Xavier, which was the second clip.
But it has to always mention that. That's the thing. Those are the key words.
Okay.
That's why we've always got to have those clips. Those are the ones that draw. And it never hurts. And if there's any crossover to any clip, can put it in there.
Okay. 3, 2.
Hey, welcome back. Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming to you on this Wednesday. My gosh, this show has flown today. Of course, that's because we have great people on. Keegan Nicholson from thehoosier.com sitting in the producer's chair this week for JTP, the John the producer, who is off doing on another assignment. But man, it was a fun day already. But I want to get to some of these comments that we haven't had seen already. Forrest says the Big 12 is a better league. Of course, it's the best league in the country right now. Robert asks, is the Big 12 a lesser league? No, absolutely not. They just won a national championship on top of that. But I just think that they've had consistently better teams without having the fall off that the Big Ten has at the bottom. You don't have a Nebraska. You don't have a Northwestern, really, for lack of a better word. Penn State was okay. Minnesota, it was really bad at the bottom. But that's just my thought on that. Let's see.
Take one more comment and we got to wrap up.
All right. Tim says Jalen Chifino has a 45% for three-point shooting, which is great. That's in high school. It's got to translate to college, but it's a nice high number. All right. So, yeah, What do you got coming up, man? At thehoosier.com, Keegan covering Indiana football for you. So make sure you give him a follow. As a matter of fact, you should change your name to your
Twitter handle.
Okay. What is your Twitter handle? At Keegan?
At K Nickerson. So first initial, last name.
See, nobody can remember how to spell that damn last name.
I should have a article on Emory Simmons and Walt Bell talking about that. Possibly include some Cam Camper, and I'll also be at the Adidas Gauntlet in Indianapolis, following some Hoosier targets for basketball this weekend. I think I'm watching Gabe Cups, Rich Rolfe, Cooper Cook, and others. So targets and signees, basically. Make
sure that we're talking about that tomorrow. That's coming up this weekend, the Adidas Gauntlet up at Fishers. Thehoosier.com will have complete coverage on that for you. But we'll be talking about that tomorrow with Keegan. And then on Friday, we've got a complete recruiting update with Alec Lasley from thehoosier.com.
Yep. We got to wrap up. We got 30 seconds.
Got you, brother. So we'll have all that for you as well. Tomorrow on the program, another great show. Chris Denari, Matt Taylor. Who am I forgetting? There was somebody else. Oh, Mike DeCourcy's on tomorrow. He missed with us Tuesday. He was traveling back from New Orleans. But another great one tomorrow. We'll have plenty more to get to. And we're talking about some the Adidas Gauntlet coming up this weekend. Thanks a lot, man. It was been a great one. I can't thank everybody enough. Like I said, thanks to Rick Bozich, to the great Bob Kravitz. Keep him in your thoughts. And who else did I miss? Kyle was not with us today. Mr. Jackson was not with us today. Man, we made it through without missed two guys. I didn't even realize it. Mm-hmm. Big thanks to Keegan as well. Most importantly, thanks to you guys. Without you, we have no reason to be here. So go out and have yourselves a great day. Until tomorrow, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.